Oh my
Okay.
god, I did actually have a little intro for this shenanigans. But, like I said, I get to edit this, so. Welcome aboard the Funny Boat Podcast. I am your host, Captain Boomies, and with me is my weirdly favorite broker, because I hate brokers, the broker with the beard, Mr. Ed Pickering. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, Kate?
Just causing trouble. As usual. Uh,
Perfect.
like I told you, I've got my pirate juice, and eventually we'll have sponsors that and I can tell you what's in my cup. But in the meantime, it's a mystery.
Hi, it is.
Yar. Oh God, you're so perfect. I'm so happy you're laughing at my jokes. Uh, I'm really excited about this podcast, but I know that we initially need to talk about why we're here and what we're doing and what the heck the point is of another damn podcast out in the universe. So, I'm going to tell you what I think, and then you're going to nod and smile and tell me how brilliant I am because I'm the captain. Just kidding. You can tell me I'm terrible. So, here's what I think. I think that the biggest shame out there is that there's tons of podcasts talking about the technicals of sailing, the technicals of boat building, the technicals of the marine industry, and how very serious and important that all is. And I'm sick of it. I want to talk about, boat fails and how to break a fender because you were dragging it behind a jet ski while riding it. Like it's a lot more fun out there than people realize. And I'm sad that other people don't get to experience that in the way that I've gotten to experience it as a professional mariner.
Oh, card carrying
By
member.
the way, I am a professional mariner, though I haven't been doing anything with my license for a bit now. That's not true. I was doing stuff this summer.
Say, I got you beat on that.
Oh no. No, you're bona fide. You're in the industry. Good Lord. That sounds serious and intense.
Is there a couch somewhere I should be sitting on at this point?
I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. No, okay, so I love how we met and we got to start talking and I realized like, oh my God, I might not hate every broker I've ever met. Sorry, man. No, I remember you telling me like, "Hey, I'm the broker with the beard," and I was like, "Wait a minute, I do know who you are." At first I thought you were one of these tall ship kids that I accidentally collect. Because I have a love for old historic wooden vessels that I should probably kick to the curb because really my at the end of the year when you look at who I've donated to, it's like here's this tall ship and here's this tall ship. And my accountant's like, you don't make enough money for this to make any sense. You should stop donating to these nonprofits.
That's right.
But I just can't help myself. Anywho, so at first I thought you were one of these tall ship kids that I've collected over the years. Turns out you're one of my least favorite professions in the boating industry.
Surprise.
And let me tell you why I don't like brokers. Because as a professional captain, brokers always showed up and told me what a bad job I was doing.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't know they were coming in the next 20 minutes. And we had big, maintenance projects open. And my
Right.
crew had to suddenly make the boat look immaculate and ready for sail. And the broker hated us. So I just have a lot of animosity for brokers. But okay, but you are a broker. What is that like as a real human? Because now that I've met you, I like you. And I'm willing to listen a little bit.
Right. um, brokerage for me is it's like a perfect culmination of a lot of the loves in my life. So I grew up on the Chesapeake Bay. I grew up out of a little um, fishing community called Rock Hall on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and so it's in my. I got the salt water, the brackish water in my veins, and I just love everything about boating, power boats, sailboats, the whole nostalgia, the fun part of it. My parents own a marina, and I've been active in that for many, many years. And
So you're cheating,
had
is what you're telling me.
yeah, exactly.
You're totally cheating. Ah.
Yeah, and I have a whole bunch of different things came together, and I got into the brokerage business, kind of out of happenstance, and it was like I would never have guessed that this was my calling, and I really think it is. I absolutely love what I do. Love it, love it, love it. And I get to occasionally meet people that are just fantastic souls like yourself. And
you're so nice.
And now we get to drink pirate juice across the computer screen.
Cheers. I love it. So being a broker seems like it would be a lot of fun because you get all the same access to boats that I do as a professional captain, but you then get to walk away as soon as something's wrong. Is that
right? Yeah.
or do you have to then step in because it's your client and they need it to be fixed so you can sell that boat?
Yeah. So for me, I look at myself also as a consultant, and my job's to help best secure the sale for the seller, typically. Although I do a lot of work as a buyer's broker as well. So I'm representing either side. Sometimes I'm representing both sides of the sale. So I pride myself in being very transparent and very integrity based in my approach to it. And my boating background helps cut through a lot of the bullshit that you might get from others in the industry.
Can I ask you a really rude question? Why
Sure.
do people hate brokers other than me? I've got good reasons, but
I think
okay, we talked about integrity, right? So
well, yeah. I've always looked at it that there's a used car salesman-ish feel to it. Why have this guy walk on somebody else's boat and get paid to do it?
Yeah, great question.
Jeez, Kate, damn.
I'm so sorry.
I hope you enjoyed our last episode of the Funny Boat Podcast.
The end. Oh, I've lost him now forever.
The end.
But I want you to understand, like, you really are one of the rare humans that I've met that is selling boats, and you do brokerage boats. So you're doing the used boats. And that's scary stuff. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is go on to Boat Trader or one of these websites and just creep on boats and see what people are asking for them. And some of these used boats, there's a meme about like, I know what I have, right? There's tons of people talking about how they know what kind of, they know what their boat's worth. They know, and it's a total piece of, hey.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's a reef waiting to happen.
Well, do you ever have to run into that? I mean, there's got to be people out there that are trying to sell their boats that you're like, no, buddy, you got work to do.
So the company I work for does have minimums. So there's a minimum commission. That doesn't mean that there's a minimum listing price that we'll take, but they've got to know that you can go below whatever that 10% would be. For us, it would be, if we're listing it for less than 50,000, then they're going to end up paying more than 10% in their commission fee. But uh, there's
So
there's ways to help guide that seller um, into ways of selling the boat to promote their boat that would be more financially advantageous to them to do it on their own rather than to use our service in particular. But there's other brokers out there. There's other brokerage firms that do less than 10%. The industry standard's 10. There are others out there that go less than that, just like in real estate.
I'm realizing I never knew any of this about brokers and brokerages. I really know nothing about brokers, other than they were to be feared. That's 100% all I knew.
No. All the other ones, yes,
okay,
not me.
Okay. I don't know, man. When you start dealing with yacht crew, you might change your mind. You might decide that you need to be formidable.
Yeah.
No, it's big money. It's scary money. It's also totally frivolous money, which is a hard thing to understand, and why I love that we're going to talk about only the frivolous and silly parts of boating, because I'm not a tugboat captain. I don't need to keep America running by delivering goods and services to the ports.
Right.
I just run pretty little boats around for people that can't do it themselves, and it's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Well, initially,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say initially, I went to U.S. Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point,
Well,
New York.
aren't you fancy?
Go Mariners. And so when I graduated, I had a third mate's unlimited tonnage all oceans license, all the STCW 95 requirements.
For those of you
really
uninitiated into the marine nonsense, he's basically throwing an awfully puffy pair of nuts on the table and talking about how serious
I'm walking
of a mariner he is. It's licensing that you pretty much could only get if you were the age he was, which I assume he was, because you can go to one of these maritime colleges and be a very young man and come out on the other side with some very impressive tickets that allow you to drive some very big boats. Sorry. So I just thought I'd explain that. My license is a bit smaller than that.
Well, I unfortunately let that lapse.
Shock.
There was no sailing jobs when I graduated, so
wow.
Well, none that were really desirable. There was a lot of retirement right before I graduated in '97. So there was a big retirement in '95 and '96. So there weren't a lot of sailing jobs.
Interesting.
That's changed now, but at the time.
I mean, okay. So I have access to a lot of professional mariners, people who literally keep this country afloat by moving goods and services around the country. Either they're pilots or they're tugboat captains, or they manage. I was once upon a time a ship's agent, which is a very weird job that people don't know about. But basically, when the big cargo and container ships come in, somebody has to do their paperwork, and it is massive, ugly paperwork.
Yes,
and there's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of contracts involved, especially what legalese in the contract need to be met in order for somebody to pay that ship to do its job. It's really boring stuff, honestly. What's cool about it, though, is getting to ride out with the pilots and scale up the side of a big cargo ship and get met by a bunch of foreign guys and have them give me all kinds of gifts because they're just so excited to see a woman for the first time in a while. I got all kinds of candy and cookies.
Oh yeah.
Weird foreign sodas was a big thing.
I was getting ready to say, I bet you got some soda.
Yeah, I think my favorite one was called Peking or some. I don't know. It was something with a P and ing in it, and it was delicious. And I could not tell you what that flavor is to save my life, but it was great. I highly
Yeah,
recommend
awesome.
being a pretty lady on board a cargo ship with foreigners. You should try it sometime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
No, but okay. So that was my transition job, I'm gonna call it, where I was tired of being full-time mega yacht crew. Yes, like the show
Mhm.
Below Deck. And I was ready to start being land-based, and so I found a land-based-ish job that wouldn't have me in a wheelhouse all day, every day. Only to find out that it did have me going to the worst parts of town at all hours. Because ports are generally kind of full of pirates.
Yeah. Yes.
So it wasn't great either. So now I just, you know, I've gone back to just doing nice sort of. I coach some docking here and there. I do some
Mhm.
boat deliveries here and there. I do make nice with brokers because they have all the best delivery jobs, because it's usually, here's a brand new boat that you need to get from like, here to here, and it'll only take you half a day, and they'll pay you a full day's rate, which is great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so much better that way. Plus
Yeah.
shiny brand new boats. Like, yes, they usually have some problems, like nobody swung the autopilot,
Right.
but I can fix that. That's like, that's just a bust out the
Yeah.
manual kind of thing. Oh man. But then I'm also kind of my other job is sort of semi housewiffery. And I'm pretty terrible at that, let me tell you. You can't see it right now, but I've got a pile of laundry that I haven't folded right here. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it's working out for
Nice.
me though. Once upon a time, I sailed the high seas, and now I housewife badly. And podcast.
There you go.
Help me out, people. Start subscribing and sharing this podcast so that I can hire somebody to fold my laundry, because I'm just terrible at it. I'm really like really bad at it, and I miss having a chief stew. Yay! I think that was a pretty successful first podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that we get to do this again soon. I'm also super excited that we're going to start interviewing people. And the number one thing I have about
Yeah.
interviews is that I just want to make sure that they're fun to talk to. I don't care about the technicals. I don't care about, the seriousness and the gravitas of their position. I just want there to be a good boat story. So please check us out. We've got a website, funnyboatpodcast.com, thefunnyboatpodcast.com, as well as basically every variation on funny boating podcast. I bought them all. I have a problem. They will all redirect somewhere, and I will figure out how to actually finish this whole statement at some point. But in the meantime,
You get a website. You get a website. You all get a website.
yay! Oh, goodness gracious. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Ed. I'm so looking forward to hanging out with you some more on this.
Me
Again,
too.
I am Captain Boomies. He is the broker with the beard. Check us both out. We're both independently weirdos on the internet. And this has been the Funny Boat Podcast. Bon voyage. Mwah.
See ya.
Perfect. That was great. I loved that. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.